Glenn and Mindy Stearns are such good friends of mine. In my lifetime, I've had a few people that I've met that have been so impactful on me for what they've said, for sure, but then for how they live their life and how they act and the example they've set. And I'm telling you, Glenn and Mindy, for me, are dear friends, but have also been mentors of mine, and I've just watched how they've modeled their life.
He is a successful award-winning businessman. She is a former TV entertainment reporter. And together they are one of America's power couples.
From nothing, you created an extraordinary financial enterprise.
I think everything that you've accomplished and who you are as a person is really inspiring.
You worked your tail off to get there, and you're just great at what you do, and you don't take no for an answer.
When luck and opportunity collide, that's when success happens.
If you're an entrepreneur, you have integrity and you push through no matter what.
Nice. There we go.
All right.
Hi.
Tommy.
What'd Kim say? How am I going to change this room? Okay, I got it. I was listening, Kim. I was listening.
This is going to be fun. Thank you very much for being here today.
Oh, excited.
I've prepared a bunch of stuff, but I actually probably won't even look at it because I know you well enough. I actually just reread your book in preparation for this, Glenn, and for all of you out there, when you read Glenn's book, you'll get we'll skip over some of the story because it's so rich. It's just rich. But I want to be able to get out of you today some things that will make everyone in this room a better person, because you're both of you are clearly two of the best people on this planet. And so
You oversell us, Tommy.
Oh,
Thank you.
Wait till they hear the story of how of the Oprah Winfrey show.
Oh, no.
No, it's going to be good. But Glenn, let's start with you. Just talk a little bit about the humble beginnings, because I think it's a good place to start. And I have some quotes from your book I may bring out, but tell us where it all began for you.
Sure. Yeah, I grew up in Maryland, and I had a pretty blue-collar family. We lived in an apartment. We had the bars on the windows, the whole thing. Failed fourth grade. Wasn't very good at reading. I had dyslexia. I had a child in the 8th grade at 14. Parents were alcoholics. Everybody in the family was into something like that. So it was but you only know what you know, right? So it was an interesting beginning. And for some reason, I just decided I needed to get out of there. And so I ended up being the first to go to college. And off it went.
Tell how you drove across country. I like that story.
Well, I was in a bar with a lot of buddies, and it was 1 a.m, and I am laughing hysterically at a friend that either got a beer thrown on him or he got slapped or something. And in the middle of my laughter, or as I say, the middle of my deepest fog, I had my clearest memory. Or clearest thought. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to fall into the same pattern my dad and everybody was in. So the next day I told my buddy, I said, why don't we head to California? He says, when? I said, let's go tomorrow. He's like, what? And so we drove out to California, and I found myself, there's someone in here today I was talking to that had met me on a bench. And I ended up in California, and I was alone at this one point. I was sitting on a bench over the Pacific Ocean, the homes, these beautiful $1 million homes, these just cars and beautiful people. And I was like, I want this life, right? And so there's a man in his yard, and he's trimming his rose bushes. And so I walked up to him, and I said, what did it take to get this house? Like, I know I can do it. Like, what did it take? And the guy turns to me, he says, Senor, I'm the gardener. He says, I think the man is in real estate. I said, I'm going to get into real estate.
And a career was begun.
And that was it.
And a dream was born.
A dream was born.
I want to get the business side. So where Glenn really thrived was building one of the nation's largest companies. His name adorns buildings all through Southern California, and you became the nation's largest lender. You vertically integrated almost everything. There are leaders in this room right now, whether they're running a university or businesses that are struggling with scaling and dealing with people and motivating people, and that's kind of what today's about. But I know the secret because I've been around you. When you're around Glenn in a room, whether it's with the lowest employee that works for you, that's opening the doors and valeting your cars, to the most important person in your organization, I know you treat them exactly the same. In fact, you may treat the guys valeting your cars better than the others. So I know a lot of that's authentic, but maybe you can give some of your secrets to, in a world where it is employees and taking care of people and inspiring them. What were some of your secrets over the years to grow your company?
Well, it's funny because when it first started, I was a broker, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I thought, well, how can I grow my company? And I thought, well, I need to be a banker. How do I do that? So I would go in every day to HUD because I was trying to get their business. And I asked the receptionist, her name was Jeannie Baker, I said, I want to be a banker. How do I do that? I had no idea. Now that I know what I know, HUD just has no idea how to become a banker. But she said, look, you need to get a credit line. And she started to help me. And then I started a title company, and that failed. And I went to Jeannie Baker because they were selling homes in HUD. I said, how do I become a title? How do I get the title work? And she said, you need a contract. I'm like, how do I get a contract? What's that? And so she helped me get my first contract. And what I found was, these gatekeepers, these people that sit there that usually people walk right over, they can be really the most powerful people in your organization. Debbie Davis, she's been with us 26 years. She's our receptionist and all around everything. Wonderful lady. And we've had a lot of people try to think less of her, and she's probably one of the most powerful people in our company,
If I could interject a little bit. Glenn built Stearns Lending to be an incredible organization, and Blackstone bought it back in 2015 or 14, I think it was. And he went on and was diagnosed with cancer of the throat and has overcome a lot. He's healthy, cancer-free right now, so that's the good news. So we're celebrating. But what he did, if you saw the show on Discovery, I don't know how many of you have. It's a great show to watch with the kids, families, very inspiring, Undercover Billionaire. It's about building a business from nothing. He was dropped off in a small town with nothing, had to build a $1 million valuated business in 90 days, or he had to put $1 million of his own money in. That was the bet, and Discovery said, okay, let's shake on it, do it. And the show really, I think it reignited in him a fire to build again, because he loves the process. He loves the game. He says, I love being in the game. I know you had a conversation with T. Boone Pickens once about him going from a billionaire to broke, billionaire to broke, billionaire to broke. He's like, T. Boone, why are you doing this? You're going to be broke again. What are you doing? He's like, I love being in the game, son. So Glenn, in that same vein, loves being in the game. But more than anything, the success of Stearns was such a powerful thing that we built. And, Blackstone obviously took note of it, but it really was the vision of Glenn and the people that he attracted. Now, after Undercover Billionaire, we came up and founded Kind Lending. Now, Kind now is the fastest growing mortgage company in the industry. We're number 5 out of all. We started less than 5 years ago. We have 1,000 employees about now. And we really believe in servant leadership, and it's something that has been the keystone of our success. Glenn listens. We give our phone number to every employee, and hiring good people. And what I loved about this man is he's got no ego in the game. And he always says, I hire people that are smarter than me. I hire people that know more than me, and I don't have all the answers. And he does treat everyone from the valet to the receptionist to the owners to investors, whoever it is, with the equal amount of respect and regard. And I think that's been a key of it.
When you ask about these secrets, it was great to have a company that was number 1 and watch it go to number 2 to number 3 to number 4.
Let's pause a little bit. So Glenn sold, your exit was in what year?
2015 or 2014.
So 2014 sells this company for a lot of money.
A little bit.
A lot of money.
Did all right.
Then you had some fun and went around the world and did some wonderful things philanthropically that I want to get a little bit into. But then they drove the company, that when you're saying watching it going from number 1 down, and then you bought it back, sort of.
Yeah.
Or you built.
Well, Glenn may not tell this story, but I will.
Okay.
But right when the Discovery show was promoting Undercover Billionaire is releasing in the fall, new show, gonna hit the fall, be watching, Blackstone decided to file Chapter 11. So he tells the story that Stearns Lending is filing Chapter 11, and here he is, Glenn Stearns, on this show, and they're calling, what happened? The Wall Street Journal.
The Wall Street Journal calls me, are you the undercover billionaire or are you bankrupt? I'm like, no, I'm the screwy there.
They basically, he says screwy, but they did. They basically wiped out everything they were owed to him. And that's what they do. Hey, there's no knock on Blackstone. They do amazing things because they're an incredible organization. But
well, we were just talking, Odette and I were just talking about private equity and healthcare.
yeah.
So.
Hey, they're a great company.
Yeah, there's no, like I said, no knock.
Wrong, but
then his non-compete was null and void, and that's when Kind Lending was born.
Kind Lending was born.
Back to the secrets, because you watch a company, and why did we number 1? Why did we go from there all the way down, right? And what happened was, when I looked, I just went, wow, you know, there's financial currency, money. I'll pay you more money will you stay. And people say, well, I'll give you till 5 o'clock and that's it. And then there's many other types of currency. There's happiness, right? There's the ability to feel you're part of something bigger than you are and that you are part of this success. And when you allow other people to feel that they are the reason, and they are, for why you end up growing and, you know, and taking on these goals and hitting them and exceeding them, they feel very proud. And then I would come in at 9 at night having to kick people out, right? Like, come on, guys, go home. Just one more thing. But when you turn it around to where it's only just about money, it changes, a little bit. And so when we restarted, we realized there's so much more than just a financial reward. There's really, getting in there and feeling you're a part of something bigger than just yourself,
Wow. So Kind Lending, and Mindy, you're very involved. Talk about the rebirth of the company and now 1,000 employees and the second time around. How's it been?
You know what? I obviously have a background in television and broadcast. That was my training and dental hygiene. That's another story. But so when Glenn came back, I had been involved in more of an ancillary role before, more of people and people operations and communications. So he said, I really want you to be part of this in a more significant way. So we created a title, and I was the Chief Happiness Officer. That's how it started. So, and then as we evolved into a more mature company, I became the Chief Kindness Officer because we are Kind Lending.
So Tommy, let me tell you what happened, really, okay? We decided this time, let's not just become a regular company that does it the way everybody, like I want to have some fun in this company. I mean, we went out and our portal that every customer has to go through, we went it fast and easy. So we called it the Quickie. Happy beginnings and happy endings, okay?
Everybody loves a Quickie. There you go.
So
I was waiting for this to get real, and now there we go.
So
now it's the Glenn and Mindy we all know here.
people are going.
So it's the Quickie.
It's called the Quickie.
I should tell you all, so I called Glenn a couple weeks ago and I said, hey, are you ready for this? And he kind of whispered in the phone, he's like, yeah, I am, but I almost died. And I'm an old ER doc, right? And he tells me this story of 4th of July, going to a party, he had cancer that we'll get to, and he had radiation on his vocal cords, so he was getting a treatment on his vocal cords, and in about 72 hours, his airway closed off and ended up in the hospital for weeks and had a tracheotomy. So for all of you out here that may not have seen a tracheotomy in your life, it's a big freaking deal. So I'm like, oh man, I'm so sorry you can't make it. And he's like, no, I'll be there. And I'm like, dude, you still have a hole in your neck. And he's like, yeah, but I'll be there. So
That's why I'm holding my neck.
he's doing great, but
That's why I'm talking a little more than normal.
I'm alive.
He's
I'm
saving his
happy.
voice. He's alive. He's like a cockroach. Nothing's going to kill him.
Where
I'm
were
telling
we?
you.
where were we? Sorry.
Where
But
were we?
I wanted
Maybe I
to,
should say cat.
Oh, so we said, let's start this company the way we want to do it, right? Let's have some fun. So we started with the quickie, right? And then Mindy goes out there. We only had about 150 people. Hey, everybody, I'm your chief ho. I'm like, you cannot
CHO.
say that, Mindy.
Chief ho.
But we were having fun, and people start realizing, you know, when you stand for something, really, in your organization, and we don't stand for, but we had a lot of innuendos, a lot of fun, but it was really about, let's really enjoy ourselves. You guys are going to be working here 8-10 hours a day, so why not have some laughs? And so people started to really, you know, enjoy themselves. We went to our customers and we said, you know, we're going to start a ranking incentive program, and if you give us a certain amount of your business, you're going to be a good dog. If you give us more, you're a big dog. And if you give us the top, you're the alpha dog, right? And if you're new, you're a puppy. But we don't want like the 2, 3, 5%, because that's really the trash in the business. So if you do that, because we can rank now with everybody, then you're a wiener dog. So we have like these shirts, right? Like, don't be a wiener, you know? And people just, they laugh, they have fun. But it's really caused the company to take on this life of its own where people want to work there. People want to bring their business. And we've shot up, you know, in the first 4 months, we hit $1 billion, which was very quick. It took us forever last time. And now, you know, it's doing that like all the time. You know?
But I don't want to say it didn't come without hardships too, because we talk a lot about grit in this group, about building success. I mean, he went obviously from one of the top mortgage companies in the country when it was Stearns, sold it, came back in, and then we opened in 2019, right before COVID. So the minute we had office space, we opened this big, beautiful, we went back to the same building that we had before, same floor, same office. It was kind of nostalgic. But then California shut down all non-essential workers. So it was just Glenn and I and his receptionist in this huge office, and we had no employees at the office. And it was a really challenging time. And then for the next 33 months, 11 quarters, we had loss. We wrote a check out of our personal account for 33 months to keep the business and the doors open. And I give a lot of credit to this guy, because I'm like, okay, how really?
We're 3 feet from the gold, right? You ever read that? But no, with my last go around, we lost money 1 quarter. And now I'm like, that's it. This is the last month. Okay, 1 more month. Say
And
that over
it's
and over
it's
again.
this guy's faith in he's been in the market, you know, for 35 years. He understands the market shifts and we have to adapt. And there are things, and one of the principles is, look, we only react to what we can. We can't control everything. Why get upset about things that we can't control? And so all we can control is our experience of our employees. That's my role as the Chief Kindness Officer, is to help encourage the culture. I am all about the culture. I talk to every new hire. I stay in contact with all of our employees. We send out notices. We celebrate. We highlight employees every day. We send flowers. We call them. We talk to them. We text them. We celebrate our employees. We listen, and we have a call every month. Once a month, we get on and talk to our whole company. And here's our cell phone. You have questions?
It's definitely a bottom-down approach. A
Bottom up. It's really like, we have sat with employees and we say, what you've been elsewhere. You've been at other companies, and I'm sure many of you have employees that have worked for other competitors. What did they do that you loved? What did they do right? What have you seen in technology, advancements, and automation that they did that we should do? And that's how we lead. And we answer, there's no closed door, we know all the answers. It's, we learn from our employees how to be the best.
You know what I noticed, Tommy, is, you know, again, we have more of that servant leadership style, right? Like, we work for them. When that new regime kind of came, when I sold Stearns, they had more of a top-down and we know it all type approach, which it works in some companies and that's fine. But what it did when people were trying to send messages and say, hey, this isn't working, they were more looking at it like that's a reflection of the executive team. Don't say that. So they would be forced into really being quiet, I guess. And so you lost the voice from the street, you know? And when that happens, you're not able to make very good decisions because you're not able to hear what's going on. And so, we've just made sure all the management understands we have to keep that open so we can react faster.
It's interesting as I'm listening to you is the human needs of an individual are kind of the same. They want to feel valued. They want to feel important. They want to feel like their employer values their work and their effort and their time and energy. We spend so much time at work, right? And I think in small businesses, it's a little easier to connect in that way where you're able to one-on-one it. What I've loved about listening to you and talking to you and getting advice from you, you've been able to figure that out at scale where you still can feel that way even with big companies. But it's intentional, right? You have to have your layers of leadership have to buy into that. We have some great companies here in Idaho that I think the most successful companies in Idaho have done that same thing. But it's a great lesson for all of us as we scale to ask those questions. How did you do it? How do you still make them feel like they're important and they really connect?
Well, when Kim was talking earlier about the different generations too, and what people are looking for in a work experience, like you really optimization of your life experience is important. Yeah. Just the quality of the life you live, and having employees that love where they work is one of the best things you can have for job retention and employee retention. People want to feel heard. They want to feel like their ideas matter, that they value, that they have access to management. Like I said, we give out our phone numbers. Everybody knows how to get to us. And there is no closed door. And I think that's been one of the cornerstones, is just creating an environment that says, we hear you, we do. And we put a newsletter out every week that says, we heard you. And here's all the things that we've implemented since your ideas came about. Here's what we're doing now. Here's what we are activating. So they understand we did hear. And that's been a really important prospect.
We have a lot of people that have worked there with us at the old company and then the new one. My assistant,
29 years.
29 years, many 20 years, many 15, many 10, so they know, we really do care, And that's I think that's the key. And again, it's different. Other people, again, I watched Blackstone make a lot of money. They're very, very good at financially engineering, their outcome. They're the best. And I look at them and think, wow, you got exactly what you came for. That wasn't what we're about heart. We're not doing it just to make money. You got to feel good. And again, everybody's different, and every company, they come in with different intentions. Let's get ready to get this thing public and go. But we don't want to do that. I just want to come to work and feel good.
I'm going to shift a little bit because I have so much. I knew. But can we talk about your relationship? What I've learned from you, Glenn, from the moment I met you, relationships are everything. But when I watch the relationship between you and Mindy, it's special. There's something there, the synergy, the love, everything about that. And how important are relationships in general, and then this relationship to the success and the happiness you have in your life?
Well, I can speak from my perspective.
I think it's funny that you went first. I
was going to say, you know how it works?
Yeah.
Let her go first.
Go ahead, Annie. Yes, Chair. I had a very independent life before I met him. And for anybody that's single out there, I really was at a place in my life when I met Glenn that I had made this statement. I am so happy with my life. I love where I am. I love what I'm doing. I love my friends, my job, my dog, my life. I was in a good space, and I was not interested in meeting anybody. So the irony was that I met Glenn that night a few hours later, And that just turned my world upside down in a way I didn't expect. So for me, it was really being in a place that I was really winning personally without anybody else. It was a really good feeling. So we just came together and things just blew up from there.
And just to add to that, I was in that same space. It's weird, you know. I was like, not looking. We met on a blackjack table, okay? And I didn't even get her name. We stayed all night. It was a big group. And I thought when I left, wow, she was really different. But I didn't even get her name. And then a couple of days later, I saw her on the news. I'm like, that's the same girl I was sitting next to. Stalker, yeah. And so I emailed the TV station. Hey, were you the girl I was sitting next to? No answer. Like, So I called the Fuhrer hotline, promise. And I said, hey, I'm having a big Jimmy Buffett party. If you'd like to come. And she called me back, you know. So it wasn't this weird, you know, like we didn't meet on Tinder or anything, you know.
Did you have Jimmy Buffett at the...
Yeah, it was a long story, yeah.
So when most people say we're having a Jimmy Buffett concert, it's like we're having a Jimmy Buffett concert, but with Glenn, it's a Jimmy Buffett concert.
Well, it was...
Just to be clear.
It ended up being... Anyway, that's kind of how we met. But what I realized after, you know, I had been married before, and my little filter was, I had said at our first date, we went out after that Jimmy Buffett, I said, hey, you know, I have 3 boys, and I got to tell you, I said, their mother, I said, she and the kids come first. I just want to put it out there. And then she was like, wow, I love that. You know, and now a lot of women would turn and walk away. I didn't have enough patience for someone that wasn't secure, you know. And she was very secure in herself. And it turned out very well. My ex-wife came to our wedding.
Well, I gotta say, you know, divorced with 2 baby mamas and 4 kids wasn't on the list of the perfect man when I was looking, but...
Then you saw that wallet.
No. Oh, yeah. I had my own wallet, Tommy. I had a really fat one myself, thank you very much. But what I will say is that this was a mark of character.
I didn't even
for
touch
me.
that.
What's that? I've drained it since then, you're welcome. So...
you know, Tommy, she had her credit card stolen, and I did not report it. You know why? The crook was spending less than she spent.
So, oh, you love that one.
I love that one.
What I was going to say was that I loved that first dinner, I will say, was such a mark of character to me that he was so complimentary about his ex-wife, that he spoke about her with such regard and respect that had such a mark for me of character, that he didn't apologize. He says, look, she'll come first. She's the mother of my children. And I have this other woman. We're friends still. I mean, we had a child. We were really young. They never married. But I thought, wow, you know, coming from Hollywood and a few vacuous pretty boys that failed to say they were divorced or so, you know, a lot of lies. It was so refreshing to meet someone who was so brutally and blunt and honest, and that was such a mark of character for me, and it really set the stage for how we operated from then on out. I mean, honesty is everything. And then what he said is, by being upfront with the truth, then you learn if someone wants to stick with you, because you give them the choice. Do I want to stay knowing what I'm in for, or am I just, you know, there's no facade, which was beautiful, and that was part of it. That was the beginning. I invited him home for Thanksgiving 3 weeks later, and my parents were like, he's the one. That was 23 years ago.
Again, it obviously takes both sides, because she welcomed my ex and my children. And I mean, when we went around the world on the boat after we sold, I'd gotten cancer, and I was like...
I think it's funny you still call it a boat, but... I remember the first time you were talking about the boat, and you showed me the picture. I'm like, Glenn, let's call it what it is. That's not a boat. But it's still funny that this many years later it's a boat. But
boat.
If a helicopter lands on it, it's not a boat. Just to be clear. Okay, but you're on the boat with the whole family.
On the boat. And, but we brought my ex-wife, we convinced her, she was a teacher in Orange County, to quit and then to come for a year and
She homeschooled our girls, so his ex-wife and I and him were traveling for a year on a boat, and we had a really incredible year. It was amazing. Like, she was a teacher, and she's the godmother to our girls, and they had 3 boys, and we gave her 2 little girls, and it's just been a beautiful thing. She just got married recently, and we're all friends. So
well, I think this is going to come up a lot, and when you read his book, I think hopefully what you leave today, it's kindness, it's genuine, it's you, it's all of you, and it permeates and makes everyone around you better. I want to shift to philanthropy a little bit. We don't have time today, everybody, for all of the good that these two do, and it's everywhere. But we haven't prepped of any of this, so some of this is just coming off the cuff. But talk about some of the kids you select to take down, the homeless kids. And that story blew me away the first time I heard it, and some of the results from that. If you could just share that briefly.
So we're in a group called Horatio Alger, and it was an amazing organization that they select 10 or 12 people to get in every year. It's done in the Supreme Court. It's the only non-judicial act in the Supreme Court, so it's a really big deal. But it's all people have gone through severe adversity and have come out and have more of a rags to riches kind of.
Horatio Alger was an author that wrote about rags to riches stories. So the organization was founded on successful entrepreneurs who came from nothing, made something of their lives, and then made a point of giving back. And that's the whole crux of the Horatio Alger Association. And like he said, there's like 13 people inducted every year. It's kind of like the U.S. equivalent of being knighted, if you will. We don't really obviously have that, but it's a very special organization. But the main focus of it is scholarships for kids who have been through terrible, terrible adversity. And these kids are like the future. The American dream is alive and well in these kids because they see that hard work, integrity, and education is the key to having success, that breaking the cycles of these terrible childhoods that they've been living.
And they're not victims.
They don't have a victim mentality. It's so inspiring. And we invest in these kids and believe in them as the future of America, because they will be the ones running our companies and creating new innovations for our world.
And we'll do these leadership gatherings, and we'll bring them down to Necker. We're going there Thursday, and we'll have great speakers. I mean, we have some amazing speakers that are there.
So they bring these kids, the horrible situations, down to Richard Branson's island. And you bring in speakers that are from all over the world and mentor them, and then plug them in with mentorship, and then the stories of where these kids go is just.
That's what I'm saying. Their stories make the professional speakers look like nothing. I mean, you're crying and you're so happy for them all at the same time. I mean, they're amazing, young, resilient, men and women. So it's wonderful to invest in their future.
That's great. Okay, I got one more question, and then we'll open it up, have some questions from the audience. But I flash back to when the Broncos won the Super Bowl, and you were partying in John Elway's room, and you sent me a video, and it was crazy. It was mayhem. I mean, you're living it up. Things are great, and then your cancer died. I want to talk about, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, facing death, and that whole realization of you do all these great things in life, but you have this much time. And one, what was it like facing it for you? Because your diagnosis was very serious. I mean, it was not clear you were going to get through this. And then afterwards, talk about how that's changed your perception on the way you live now.
Okay, but first I'll talk about the partying with John Elway in his room. Because I think it's relative to a lot of what we go through, okay? I was sitting with John, and it was after maybe 8 or 9 games in the season.
Let me just say, the reason John and Glenn are friends is Glenn knows nothing about football. And I think that's why John really appreciates Glenn, because they don't talk about football. He doesn't watch football. Glenn will call Glenn on a Monday night, like, what are you doing? He's like,
Hey, what are you
dude, I'm
doing?
in the
It's
middle of
Monday
the game.
Night Football. Yeah, I'm at the game. Sorry, man. So, but yeah, no, we were sitting and we were having conversations, and he said, man, next year I think we can make the Super Bowl. I said, next year? Aren't you like 9-0 this year? Yeah, but that Peyton Manning, he is so selfish. He wants to hit all these records for himself, and he's just not being a team leader. And I said, do you think he can take you to the Super Bowl? Well, yeah, he could if you'd refocus. And he says, that's why we're going to get rid of him in next year. I said, John, you think Peyton Manning is your employee? Peyton Manning looks at you like you're his ultimate. You went out after winning 2 Super Bowls and got out. This guy knows. I said, you got to think about your employees. I said, when you first meet this superstar, you walk down the hall and you give him that look in your eye. Hey, how you doing? And the stare stays long. You love that guy. I said, now you don't have that much confidence in him anymore, do you? No. I go, I bet you walk by him. Hey, you don't even give him the look. He knows. I said, John, what would it take just to go and say, hey, I was having a conversation with my buddy. I believe you could take us to the Super Bowl. I believe you could win it, Peyton. Why don't you say that to the guy? Plant the seed. You're his idol, John. You're not his boss. Next day, he texts me. I forget what number was he, 18?
Yeah.
Anyway, I talked to 18. He doesn't say his name. I talked to 18. I planted the seed. Huh? So the video of us jumping on the bed after the game, I'm going, I want my Super Bowl ring. I want my ring. I helped plant that seed. But
did he give you a ring?
Hell no.
But you got to try them all on at his house. Glenn has had like all of them on his hand.
Well, what was the question?
Well, we started on cancer and we end up
cancer.
on Super Bowl rings.
So cancer, for me, I know a lot of people that have gone through cancer and it's suffered tremendously and have passed. So I feel horrible for those people and those families. But for me, it was a gift. It opened my eyes to like, today could be the best day of my life. Like, you never know. So live it. And I have felt so grateful every day, feeling like, wow, like I could be gone, and what about my kids? And they're not going to be with the family. So it's been a wonderful gift in a weird way. And again, that's hard to say when a lot of people lose people. But yeah, it really just opened my eyes. And I'll just tell you one quick story. It was Mitt Romney's. It was the Republican convention for Mitt, 2012, and I was there with some friends and 2 other guys. One was named Foster Freeze, who you knew, and the other was Mike Ingram. They were in the stairwell, and they met an 18-year-old kid, and that kid pitched them on how he could change the youth of America. And Foster was the first to invest in that kid. Google it right now. And the kid was Charlie Kirk. Okay? So I was able to watch this young man as Foster. We did a lot together, as you did. I know he helped you in your campaign. And to look at youth, they have no fear, and they are not worried about losing it all, because they don't have it, right? But when we get older, we pucker up. Ooh, I don't want to risk it all. Because if I do, what'll happen, right? But the best part of our lives was that scraping and scratching and clawing our way back up to the top, or up to the top, you know? And so things like that show, Undercover Billionaire, everybody's going, you're going to go $100 with no contacts, no, and you're going to try to start a business in 90, you are going to fail. Why would you do it? And I was like, you know who said that on camera, but they cut it? Richard Branson and John Elway. They interviewed both of them. And I thought, these are my buddies. Why wouldn't they think this is cool? They go, Glenn, you're absolutely crazy. You're going to fail. And I thought, like, I'm going to try my hardest. That's what life's about. Well, halfway through in that show, I realized for 100%, not 90, not 100%, I was going to fail. I knew it.
So if you watch the show at the barbecue fest, you'll see him staring off. That's when he was about to quit.
So I said, I am failing, so I'm going to quit. Like, I am going to walk right now. Because if I do, they cannot make the show. They'll sue me, and but what it's worth, my reputation, I don't care. So I'm leaving. I literally, like, started to walk. And then I realized something. I was like, I've never quit in my life. But I'm thinking to myself, but this is bigger. It's not that I'll fail in front of the world. I'm going to have in perpetuity a video that my children get to watch. Look at Dad, the loser, right? So
they already feel that way. It's okay.
So I could not make that. I need to quit. And as I start to leave, I said to myself, I've never quit. And if anything, my kids are going to see that I'm going to try and I'm going to go down swinging as hard as I can. And then somehow it worked. You know what I mean? So to me, cancer, what it taught me was keep stretching, keep living, keep growing. And like, that's one of the, it's not the dumb show. I don't care about the show. I care about the fact that in life, you've got both sides. This devil, quit. It's easier. That's even better over there. That job's easier. Did you know, go over there. And it's hard sometimes to just keep going through the crap, man. How many times have you wanted to give up? How many times have everybody told you it's better over there? And when you stick to it, you can do amazing things. And so, you know, I was really proud of not quitting, not giving up. And that, I think it came from the cancer. You know,
I will interject a little bit on this. Another thing, if you do see the show, at the end, he talks about excuses. And nobody in that show made any excuses. They helped him. They stepped up in ways to a stranger that just had a dream and an idea, and they all jumped in and they helped. And Glenn had a moment in the restaurant at the end when he's like, each of you, nobody gave an excuse. And neither did I, because life is about not having excuses. You don't get anywhere. And he pulls out a feeding tube. Now, you may not know this, but because of the cancer, he cannot eat at all. He had cancer of the epiglottis. They took out his epiglottis, of which your primary defense against choking. So if he swallows water, or even his saliva, or anything, he can aspirate. So Glenn eats 100% of his meals, and all of his nutrition goes through a feeding tube, his water, everything. You never hear him complain. He'll go to dinner, he'll sit down, he'll go out, he'll be with friends. He never complains. He never, ever eats. And nobody knows that. But here he is, going, kicking, open up another business. He's going to go at it again, still living large and taking big risks, and he's never been happier. So there's life.
But I cook. I'm a cook now. Figure out I want to get in the game. Why not? You know, I'm not going to sit in the corner.
He's now a chef. He watches Bobby Flay and other things and learns how to make food. So it's wonderful.
We have time for maybe one question or? Yeah. This is President Jones, our
Gordon Jones,
Hi, Gordon.
president of one of our colleges here. You have other presidents. A lot of us in this room work with youth. I gleaned some of what you might say, but could you expand on how do you talk to, when you do, our youth? What are you encouraging them to think about, that group that really hasn't yet been shaped? And I'm curious, either expand on what you've already said or share with us.
Yeah, well, again, that is our focus. I love helping and trying to plant the seeds. When I was young, I was, again, think about this, 14, I've got alcoholic parents. I've got a child being born. And this one man came to me and he said, "There's something about you, Glenn." He goes, "I don't know what it is, but I think one day you're going to be a leader. You're going to do great things in life." And I was embarrassed. I remember saying, "Oh, don't say that." And then when I got to college, we started a fraternity, and there was a gentleman that said, "Hey, let's go around and talk about somebody we admire. It can be someone from the past that's dead. It could be somebody now." He goes, "I'll start." He goes, "I admire Glenn. Let me tell you why." And I go, "Oh, stop. But those 2 times, that's it." Because I came from a kind of hard, upbringing. I didn't have a lot of people. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have a lot of people. But I did have 2 times where people planted that seed to say, "There's something about you." And again, I was embarrassed. I didn't want to think, but I thought, I don't want to let those people down. I want to try to make something of myself. And so I believe that we all should be planting seeds in these young people, saying that we think there's so much greatness that can come out of them. And when I talk to people of adversity, young children, I'm like, you have such a great story to start from. Your story will inspire so much for where you are, where you're going. So I love to make sure that young people understand that when you take chances, especially when you're young, that you can do anything. And, and I sometimes I'm not trying to brag at them, but I say, I can relate a lot to your story, and I kind of go over some of the stuff. And again, I graduated with a 2.1, okay? I didn't have, the best grades in college. And I tell them, I go, I got a 2.1, but they gave me an honorary doctorate, too, afterwards. So something
There you go. Stay in school.
You can do it.
Yeah, that's great.
In other words, if I can do it, you can do it, basically, right?
I think, too, Gordon, is what we really value in our organization is the mentorship approach that the Horatio Alger Association focuses on. Is these kids not only get money, but they get access to the most successful brains and successful entrepreneurs in the world. And we have never shied away from mentorship. Sometimes you just see a kid you see struggling, and maybe just that little moment you see some, "Hey, I believe in you. I see something in you." And it's just that little seed that will sometimes send them on a path you never expect, but it's just giving them that little moment of hope for themselves that they may not see in themselves. So
That's great. Well, man, I'm humbled to have you guys here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being my friend, and thank you for inspiring so many people. Glenn, I love you guys so much. And
I love
Tommy
you
for
too.
governor. Are we going to do that again? Come on.
No.
California needs a governor. Come on down.
No.
Come on down.
No. But thank you. Let's give Stearns a warm
Thank
round of
you.
applause.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I love you. Thank you.
There's a book outside, too.
I'll tell them all that.